Friday, August 12th, we're going to catch some fish out of my hatchery pond today and hopefully take them down to my campground pond. This will be the first time we've ever transferred any. Let's see if they're hungry and ready to eat. Hello, Rob here from the Flanagan Homestead. Today, my wife and I are going to have a little fun. I have a cooler that I've strapped to the quad, and this is my hatchery trout pond. I have, I think, still hundreds of trout in here. And I want to use these trout to fill the trout ponds down on the campground. And I just started filling the pond recently down below. It's got 3 to 5 feet of depth in the deep spot. So I thought, let's try to get a couple trout in there. And let's see if I can actually, because it's a really rough trail and it's going to be a lot of weight in this cooler. So I decided let's try to catch a couple fish today and then take them down there. Now I want to do this, I'm going to be building a fish trap later when there's actually campers and I need to get a lot of fish down there. But today we're just going to use a lure and see if we can catch some. I have an old rusty rooster tail and I was really hoping to see that if this would work. I took off the treble hook and I just tied on a regular hook, a single hook, so that we didn't do damage, because trout are not like bass or sturgeon or something where you can hook them and they could have a lot of damage. You could hold them out of the water a long time. You need to, if you catch a trout with a hook, and this is not the way I want to normally do it, there's a good chance they're going to die quite often. And so you need to try to do as little damage if you're going to transport them as possible, and we need to get them down there quickly as possible. And so I wanted to use a lure, because if I use power bait and I throw it out there and it's sitting there and it won't sit there long, they'll just swallow the whole thing and it'll be down their belly and the trout's going to die. So by using a lure, we're going to be able to hopefully get them in the lip and then go. So I got to tell you something though, I've got a fish in the cooler. We didn't have a chance to start filming. I found an old rusty rooster tail in the tackle box, and I was like, is this even going to spin? I took my line out and I drug it across the pond just to see if it would spin, and a trout came up and hit it right at my feet. I lifted it up and I put it in the cooler. So just 10 seconds ago we caught this trout, or just before I started filming, this trout bit, and it just didn't even let me put the line out. I'm going to see if I can do that again real quick here. I doubt that after snagging one they'll do it again, but these fish are hungry, and unlike when you're out in the wild and you want to sneak up on the fish and not spook them, when I come down here, it normally means it's feeding time, so they're kind of hungry. So I don't know if it'll happen again. So we didn't get as much luck. I think after yanking the first one out of the water, we scared the others away. So I might have to put my line out there a little bit further. There we go. Took 2 seconds for a bite. I want to get them in my hands as little as possible. I didn't bring a net down, but we're going to see if I can't just drag him into a bucket of water here. And then we'll try to get this hook out this way. Get my trusty Leatherman and see if we can't get this hook out of the top of his mouth. Oh, he's bleeding. When a trout bleeds, that's not a good sign, but here we go. So there's two in the cooler already. I'm gonna let my wife try to catch one now. And we won't go more than 3 because we don't know if they're gonna make it. I don't know if the quad, with all the weight of the water and everything and bouncing around, if I'm gonna lose the cooler. So we're just gonna put a max of 3 in today and give it a try. So Mama, you want to give this a try?
Yep.
She's got one on. Ooh, it took her a long time.
Ooh, that's a big one. Do you want to help with the bucket?
Yeah, I'll get over there.
Oh my goodness, this has got some pull on it. Oh, look how big he is. Okay.
All right. Just kind of hand over hand it into the bucket here. So it took us all of the lure being in the water, maybe 10 seconds to hook 3 fish, maybe that long. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get fresh water in here, oxygenated water. Not that it's been sitting there long anyway, but we'll fill it up, get as much oxygen in there as we can.
Looks pretty full.
And we'll spill it over the top. There, we're good there. So we got our 3 little guys. That one's about a little over a foot long.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to strap this down. I think it'll stay on here pretty good. We got a strap going both side to side and front to back through the handles. It may rattle around a little bit, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's leaking though. There's a lot of water. Oh no, it's just coming out the side. All right, I think that's pretty good shape. And now we've got a rough, bouncy quad trail to get down. Hopefully we can get down there without shaking up the fish too much and drop them in the pond. Here we go. All right, I timed it. It was a little over 5 minutes to get from one pond to the next. It's not that many feet or miles or whatever you want to say. The distance isn't that great, but the trail is bumpy and rough. So it took me 5 minutes. I was hoping to be able to do it in 3 minutes or less. But maybe as I improve the trail, we'll get here quicker. And like I said, as this pond fills up and gets much larger and people are actually fishing in it, we will probably have a cooler on front and back if this works, and be able to transport fish that way. They seem to be doing pretty good right now. We'll see how they do when we drop them in the water and take off. Let's see if I can do it this way. I'll just pour it in. Follow the next one that was
I couldn't even see it once it went out.
we got a little dirty here, didn't we? Follow this one. There they
Off
go.
they went. Swimming away.
Well, we're off to a good start. If you look at the riser on the pond, eventually this spring is really low right now. Eventually the water is going to fill up to that level. There will be places in this pond that are close to 9 feet deep at that point in time. And right now there's 5 foot depth, I believe, back in that back corner. You can see the slope. It's fairly, this is the gradual side and it's fairly steep here, so it gets deep quick. So okay, so this was a good experiment. The fish, even though they were caught with a hook and not in a fish trap, They seem to be doing pretty good when we dumped them off. I did want to get some in, one, to see if we can get them down here. Two, there's a lot of mosquito larvae in this pond, and putting a few trout in there with the steep banks, the larvae aren't going to be able to hide out, and the trout are going to be cleaning these out and lessening the mosquitoes around here, which is always a good thing. Just ask my wife. Okay, so this was a good experiment. The fish, even though they were caught with a hook and not in a fish trap, they seem to be doing pretty good when we dumped them off. I did want to get some in, one, to see if we can get them down here. Two, there's a lot of mosquito larvae in this pond, and putting a few trout in there with the steep banks, the larvae aren't going to be able to hide out, and the trout are going to be cleaning these out and lessening the mosquitoes around here, which is always a good thing. Just ask my wife.
This is true. I hate mosquitoes. Thank you, Mr. Man, for taking care of the larvae.
I've been watching the fish come up, and they're going right up on the banks and eating up the mosquito larvae, getting themselves a nice meal out of it. Okay, so there we have it. First attempt at taking from my, what I would call my hatchery pond, which has hundreds of trout, to now this pond. This is not my only pond down here, but this is going to be the largest that people could swim in and fish in. And anyway, thanks for joining me on the Flanagan Homestead, where Christmas trees are my business, teaching and cleaning horticulture is my job, and outdoor projects like this on the campground are my passion. Hope to see you again soon. Be blessed, everyone. Got to pick some blackberries on the way home. Hot Mama's gonna make some cobbler tonight.